Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hey, we were just speaking because it was yesterday and it's daily, this podcast. And my name is Mike Matthews. There you go. That's why the show is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And it's episode 2068. Hey, if I lived to that year, that'd be great because I'd be 100 years old and I'd be living through the 60s again. That'll be fun. Will you be my friend? This is the show where today we're going to cover some interesting topics and things.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Or not. Maybe I'll just do sounds, motorboat sounds with my mouth. Hey, speaking of which,
Mike's
yesterday,
Daily
boats were in the picture
Podcast
for Mike's Daily Podcast.
Yeah!
And the podcast picture, you can see that at MikesDailyPodcast.com. My lovely lady friend is going to make a trip up to Shasta, and she is going to stay at an Airbnb. I am not a fan of Airbnb. I'm going to tell you right now. There is always something a little bit off about wherever you stay. Maybe you love that little bit off. This show is a little bit off, but if I travel a long ways away and I'm a long ways away from home, I want to have a little bit more, just feel comfortable, secure. But the thing is, where do you feel secure outside of your home these days? Because of all the worry of coronavirus and all that. And is this place that I'm staying at doing what it should to wipe everything down? Oh, I'm looking at the Tulsa, Oklahoma speech. Trump trying to do a rally. He's like, I'm taking on the media. I'm going to say, look, there's no such thing as coronavirus. Here I go. And here's all his supporters behind him. And none of them got masks. I bet you that was the thing. I bet you they said to them, hey, if you're going to stand behind the president because you're behind with a shot, don't wear any masks because that shows weakness. Yeah, maybe. It looks like.
And here's today's podcast picture.
You know how they roll in politics. I'm not singling out the president, but the optics of the matter is that, well, he's there saying there's no such thing as coronavirus. Yet there were some people wearing masks. I see it in other shots here from the rally that people were wearing masks. Meanwhile, Biden, when the heck... I guess he was out for something, but nobody was there because he was practicing. He's on the other side of the coin. He's got to show all the facts that, hey, coronavirus is happening. You got to be careful. You got to wear masks. And Basil, we put a mask on Basil. It's funny when you put one of those masks on your dog. Just for a second. Don't do it on there if the dog has breathing issues. Because the dog may not be breathing if you do that. But yes, that's funny to do. That's not the podcast picture, though. Shoot. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm like the guy from Officer and a Gentleman. I don't know what. I guess I could post a picture from Lake Merritt on Friday during Juneteenth. I guess that's what I'll do. There were so many people there. It was definitely a festival. People outside. Now there we go. I didn't see much social distancing there. I didn't see that many masks. I mean, I did see a lot of... Well, I guess not everyone was wearing masks, shall we say. But that's... okay, I'll have that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. It's actually looking towards the museum, the Oakland Museum, and out in that direction. Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, Vera Lynn passed away at 103. She was Britain's Force's sweetheart. And the only reason why I know about her, it's not because I'm British, but because someone that I know that grew up in England sent me an email about it, and we're both fans of Robin Hitchcock, and Robin Hitchcock has a song called Yip Yip, the Yip Yip song, and it's about Vera Lynn. Okay, there's a little bit of news you didn't know. Also, the bus that was the one that... Oh, what's the heck's his name? Oh, if I can remember this guy's name, I'll be amazed. Yeah, I'm not going to remember his name. It was that movie Wild Did you see that where the kid goes off into, I think he ends up in Alaska, and then he eats some bad berries and he basically dies from poisoning himself, food poisoning, in the bus. And the camera pulls back from the bus and they're playing the Pearl Jam. Well, Eddie Vedder is singing a song. It's a cover. This I can tell you. It's a cover of a band from the late 80s. It was a band that had a song called "There's a big old sun shining on the big people in the big old world." And I can't tell you the name of that band. Anyway, off the top of my head, Cafe Anyway. That was... The bus is gone. They moved the bus. Anti-racism resources. There's so many to choose from. There was... When I was on Bing the other day, they had a bunch of them. I guess the whole country is trying to be anti-racism. Do we want to defund the police department? That's a question, though. Ask yourself that question when you think about what's going to happen next time I hit the numbers 911. What's going to happen? Now, if you hate the police, if you're afraid of the police, if the police have done you nothing but injustice, you don't want to hit 911 anyway. And that's a scary world, and that shouldn't be either. So, what else shouldn't be? Jimmy Kimmel's going to get divorced. Again. How many times has that guy been divorced? His marriage is on the rocks. Well, this is my theory anyway, because he's taking time off from doing the show. And this guy is hot. He's going to be hosting the Emmys. He started off in radio in Los Angeles doing sports. Got to be friends with Adam Carolla. The two of them did The Man Show. He also did Win Ben Stein's Money on Comedy Central. That was a hit. Then later had his own late night talk show, which he still has. Gained weight, lost weight. Hosted all these different award shows as we go outside a cafe anyway. We're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Mont. We're in Podcastro Valley, Mont today. It was fun seeing slobs. It's fun seeing slobs. People that are generally slobs be so cleanly now. They get the cleaning stuff. They're wiping every time, all the time. I'm like, wait a minute. You're you've never tucked in a shirt in your life. You're cleaning around. It's amazing how vigilant they are with the cleaning. By the way, did you ever read the book, the magazine Mental Floss? I believe that magazine got started in Birmingham, Alabama. And the guy from Food Channel, Alton Brown, had something to do with that magazine. It's interesting. You thumb through that. There's all kinds of stuff your brain will learn. It is Mental Floss. So finally, I have fought and won the battle against Vitality. Vitality is this website that was, well, overall, I'm okay with it. I mean, I've gotten a lot of points on it and used it to get stuff like Amazon gift cards for basically just doing stuff like regular exercise, walking. It monitors that. It's one of those websites that monitor your health. Now, I need to do it through my job because they bring my insurance premiums down if I use that. But somehow I got, and this is something they need to work on over there, somehow I got roped into a challenge and got put on a team with 3 other guys from the company I work for. And every day, somehow, these 3 guys are walking at least 10,000 steps. Now, I don't know if that's easy for you. That's like 4 miles. How they are walking 10,000 steps every day, I don't know. I go out for walks all the time, but I can never seem to reach 10,000 steps. And they're doing it every day, so you get like a little point every time you do that. And this one guy had 5 points already. The rest had 3. I had 1. And one of the guys texted me, "You need to work out more. You need to walk more." And I'm thinking, you never walk. The way he cheats, basically. He takes his little, he's got a Fitbit, and he rocks it back and forth in his hand all the time, and he's able to fool it to think that he's actually walking a lot more than he is. So I called Vitality. I said, take me off this challenge. They said, you got to call your person at your company. I did that, and she was really cool. She took me out right away. I'm so glad that's done. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. I don't know how I got roped into it. I suddenly became the team captain when I was trying to get out of it. I clicked on this button that said manage, thinking, oh, that'll get me out of there. I can manage this. I can manage my account like you see manage in your account settings. Well, no, that meant now I'm managing the team, and I became the team captain. So that's all done. I'm pulled from the team. Ha! Take that. Buffet. Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says the human brain, I'm paraphrasing here, something to the effect that the human brain tries to make easy things difficult. I believe that to so much an extent. Here's another saying, though. Tell me if you agree with this or not. Leftist nihilism is white guilt. Leftist nihilism. Okay. I heard somebody say that, a conservative talk show host. So basically, leftists hate themselves so much, so that's why there's white guilt. I guess the white leftists. Is that it? You might want to read more into that. That this is basically the whole impetus for this guy's talk show. Is that that's his mantra. He says something to that effect every day on his show. He hates the left, oh so much. But everybody's got to have something, I guess, that no, we shouldn't be hateful. We should be anti-racist. And there are so many anti-racist resources, as I mentioned earlier, that are just at your disposal now on any search engine, except for the one that Glenn Beck guy is on. I think there might not be as many resources there, but okay. And finally, I'd like to tell this. I wanted to really zip through this story because I found it fascinating. I was somewhere the other day wearing my mask, and there was this other guy who's a friend of a guy I know, and we're all wearing masks, and he tells me this story, this young man, about how he worked in Los Angeles for a while at the Chateau Marmont on Sunset Boulevard. Lots of movie stars are there constantly. You've probably read stories about it. It's a historical landmark. Celebrities have spent weeks, months, years living there. Someone who had a stay there was Courtney Love. And Courtney Love, in the middle of the night, calls the front desk. Well, this guy that I talked to was manning the front desk, and he said yes, and she said, I need someone to bring up some batteries. My walk, what? No, it wasn't a Walkman. Something to do with her. She had some kind of device. Just think of a device. It'll probably make the story more interesting. Anyway, so cafe anyway. He brings up the batteries. As the door opens, two guys leave her hotel room, and he walks in and he notices that Courtney Love is not really clothed. And they start to talk, and she's like, oh, where are you from? And he's like, from, what's that place in the middle of California? Somewhere in the middle of California. I'll think of it in a moment. But, she's like, oh, wow, well, there are people there that hate me, and they know what really happened to Kurt. And he's like, what? And, he didn't know, this guy didn't even really know who Courtney Love was. So she immediately likes him because he's not starstruck. And she's got all these racks of clothes from designer clothes people, and says, help me try on all these dresses. So he helps her try on dresses, and then this is the story he's telling. This is very amusing. This was last Friday I heard this story. And one of the dresses, he's zipping up the back, and the zipper breaks off. And this is a designer dress. This dress is like $10,000. And he's freaking out, and she's like, oh, don't worry about it. And then at the very end of the evening, she said to him, you're my friend. Basically, let's keep in touch. And that was the last time he heard from her. But the way he told the story, I should have him on the podcast sometime. It was fantastic. But that sounds about right with Courtney Love. I once read a book about her, and yeah, it seems she's very odd, wild. Speaking of wild. Hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. We're in Podcastro Valley, Mont today, the last place on earth. Look who's here.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. We don't have any books about Courtney Love in the gift shop right now.
Okay. Do we have any books at all?
Yes, Mike Matthews, we have Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, wonderful Lewis Carroll book. Does it also have the Through the Looking Glass part as well?
No, just the first part.
Okay. And if you go into the gift shop, do you have any masks, by the way?
Yes, Mike Matthews. We have a bunch of those masks that you were wearing in your podcast picture the other day, Mike Matthews.
Yes, I was wearing a mask that looked like a cat face thing. So, yes, if you want your own, go to the Cafe Anyway gift shop, I guess. And she'll say, how much are they?
$100 each.
Chely, that's just price gouging. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Yes, Mike, in fact, price gouging has been going on during this whole coronavirus thing, and it's terrible. Terrible. Wow. So, yes, masks. The mask makers should just make a bunch for free, given the time that we live in. Of course, nobody was using masks at that Tulsa thing yesterday. At the Bach Center! BOK. Bachman Turner Overdrive Center. You know, I went on their website and I checked out. They have so many cancellations. Like, nobody... They were going to have the Black Crows and... John Legend, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of people, and they were all canceled. But nope, Trump's like, I'm going to be there. So it looks like he was there last night. And maybe you watched it. Tell me what you thought about it. 336MM Daily, 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast has been for quite a while. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!